Because that way I can lay the apple over the top of it, okay? And I can go pretty fast with the background. So I like this background with a lot of yellow in it and stuff. So I've got a brush here, I cleaned it off. Now when I'm mixing my colors, I'm gonna draw from this, and I'm gonna get some variations right here on the palette. But I'm not gonna mix them thoroughly together, because I don't care if there's some variation. I really want variation in those colors. So that's why you have your colors in the middle, and then you draw, your colors on the outside, and then you I probably should have put them even further on the edge. Gives me a little more room to work, and I probably shouldn't have made such a big mess here. But anyhow, so I've got some colors here I want to use, and I'm gonna take, it was pretty yellow over here, so I'm just gonna start painting that yellow in, a little bit of this. And I'm not gonna be so overly worried about mixing the perfect color, because I just want it to be a warm yellow over here. And so I'm taking a little bit of these, and every once in a while I'll take just a little bit of water to smooth that out. And I'm gonna start painting like this. Now, obviously where it goes over the black, it's gonna get darker there, okay? And that's okay, because that's really my intention, was it to get darker where it starts going over the black. So I'm gonna start working in that area. And once again, grab your paint from here, and if a little orange or red gets on my brush, totally fine. I like that variation in the color. I don't want this to be I want it to look like paint. I don't want it to just look like a flat wall. I want it to look like it's a painting, like I'm actually painted it, okay? And, but we tend to want to be really careful about everything all the time. So I'm gonna put my yellow in here. And on this background, it starts to get pretty dark. So maybe I will take a little bit of this raw umber here, which is and just add a little bit of that to the yellow. And I'll put that up here, and I use just a little water, so I'll take a little bit of this, and I'll just start working that in. But now, since I got that black underneath, that really keeps that pretty darn dark, okay? Probably I would have been a little smarter if I would have maybe had a little bit more empty space on my palette right now to do this, because I really do kind of need a larger area. And for demonstration purposes, I want to go a little faster than I'm going right now, okay? And a little bit of water. Just a little water, grab a little bit of that, and I'm gonna brush that up there like that. And a little water. Now, if you add too much water, though, it's like watercolors. It won't cover very well. Okay, and it looks like the black underneath is still just a little wet, so I kind of reactivated it, which is totally fine. Okay, so I'm gonna do that, and that's how I'm working on my background right now. Okay, I want to get rid of that area where it looks like here, where it looks like I didn't really cover the canvas. You know what I mean? I don't want that scratchy sort of look to it. So I'm going to make sure that I keep going. And now, acrylic paints only blend with other acrylics that are wet. Okay, so that's why I'm kind of working out from an area, and I just keep adding here and taking colors off my palette and going to here. Okay, so I like this background right now. It's got a nice model look to it. You can see different brush strokes here, you know, and it gets really warm over here. So I want to go back to that area right now, and my brush is pretty dirty. So I'm going to grab a little bit of this yellow, a little bit of this gold here, maybe just a little hint of that orange just on the edge there. And I'll do that same thing over here. Add more yellow. I'm going to warm it up a little bit. Okay, a little bit more yellow. I probably need a little bit more on my brush right now. On my palette. Yellow's like the worst color to cover things. That's why you need a color underneath it. Like if you just took yellow and tried covering something with yellow, it doesn't cover very well. Okay, and then I needed some more yellow. Yellow's really getting low. I gotta get some more yellow on. Okay. So I wanted that table to be pretty bright like that. So now when I put the yellow over that white, it's gonna be quite a bit brighter than it will any other part of this painting. Little bit of water, mix that up. Little white and yellow. I need more paint here. Grab some more yellow, maybe a little bit of this umber again. And I'll make my transition. Now, on this particular still life that I'm using as my sample there, you got an edge of a table and it looks like there's an edge back there. I don't want to do that. I just want my edge to just sort of fade, like it's kind of a nondescript background. Like I can't really tell if it's on a table or what. So I don't care if it kind of just fades gradually up to here. So notice when I went around the apple there, I put a nice stroke right next to the apple, like this, and then I'll brush away from that. Okay, now, since I'm putting the background in, if I go a little bit into the apple, totally fine, because I'll be able to cover that up later, especially yellow, because yellow's so light. Okay, what I don't want, and sometimes this happens, people don't brush close enough. Then you put the apple in, and then you have like a background, the apple, and you get the space in between. You don't want that, okay? So when in doubt, paint into the apple. Okay, now sometimes when I'm mixing colors, this yellow underneath is getting a little dry, and sort of like pastels, you can do this so that you're barely touching it. You know, in pastels, you'll just barely add a little bit. So same thing here. I will take, I'm gonna take that yellow, I'll take a little bit of this, and I could just barely touch this, like if I just barely put some on there. Okay, so I'm gonna throw a little bit of yellow back here. And since I already have white there, that lightens that up a little bit. Okay, and I'm gonna go back to this darker color again right away. That might be a little too dramatic too quickly, but that's okay. I'll lay it down, and then I can quickly switch to some other color. So I'm gonna go here. Oop, that's got some white on there. If that happens, no big deal, just clean it off. Okay, got a little white on there I didn't intend to. And I'm gonna go back up there. And I had a little more of this. Let's go a little bit more of that up there. And I'm gonna brush right into the apple. Okay, and a little bit more yellow down here. And my yellow's getting a little dirty, so what? It's a painting, gotta have a little fun. Gotta kind of let it do what it wants to do sometimes. Don't have to plan everything, every inch of it out. That's the fun thing about it. Okay, just a little water to smooth it out. Now, that shadow, pretty bold, okay? I don't think I like it black, so I'm gonna take maybe a little purple. I don't have purple, so I'm mixing just a little bit of this red and a little blue to get sort of a purplish color. And I'm gonna put a little purple in that shadow. Just because I really like purple and yellow together. I like that combination. Now, does it look like purple? No, it just looks dark right now, but there's a hint of purple in there. Okay, and I'm gonna clean my brush really quick. And so it doesn't look totally different from the shadow, I'm gonna throw just a little bit of gold in there. So I'm just gonna have some little bits of gold in there. Okay, and so I got a little gold in that purple. And now I want the shadow to be soft. So rather than a hard edge, I'm gonna brush over the edge of the shadow and the yellow, which gives it a softer edge right there, rather than having this hard shadow over the top of the background. Most shadows got softer edges, unless you're like, you know, in a play and there's like a spotlight, you know, where the shadow gets real defined. Okay, so that's pretty good. So there's my background right now. And I could add hints of other colors. You know, sometimes you just want to have a hint of something. Like here, I'm just gonna put a little bit of that in there. And go with my yellow again. And because I don't want it to be just all flat yellow. I'm gonna put a little bit of that in there. Okay. So that's my background. Now, I could take more time with it right now, but for demonstration purposes, it's good enough. All right. Now I'm going to